measuring past infection among children. We have very few of these studies available yet. So we don't know if children are being infected and we're missing them through the current surveillance systems. We do know, with regards to severity, that the vast majority of children who are reported to be infected with COVID-19, that they experience a mild disease. Although there are a small number of children that have had severe disease, critical disease, and some children have died. In terms of making the decisions about opening schools, it's very important to understand the virus circulation in the area of where the schools are. What does it look like? Is there intense transmission in that geographic area? Is it not? Are the schools able to practice physical distancing within the school system itself? Are there different ways that they can set up the classroom, for example, or the playtime or lunchtime so that they can keep children physically separate? We know that there are challenges with that for younger children versus older children. There's a lot of considerations that need to be taken into account when deciding whether and how to open schools. It's not just a matter of if they should open, it's how they should open. And there's a lot of detrimental effects to children who are not in school. And these are well known. We are working very closely with our counterparts at UNICEF, and we're very grateful to be working with them to really understand the full impact of children not being in school. So there are a lot of considerations that need to take place. The DG has highlighted a few considerations, but the guidance itself has a lot more in there. And in fact, in the guidance itself, there are a lot of questions that decision makers need to evaluate to see how they can safely reopen schools.
Hello, greetings from Azerbaijan, from Real TV. I want to say that first modular hospital was opened at last week in Azerbaijan under the leadership of the President of Azerbaijan Republic. And Dr. Tedros every time appreciate the role of Azerbaijan struggle against the coronavirus. But from the 9th of May, we have very bad information, satisfactory. For example, 9th of May, number of infected people was 143, and 10th of May, the number was 97. Is this the signal of the second wave for our country, please?
I can't relate my figures to yours right now, but Azerbaijan has had a relatively low number of cases, but the number of cases has grown steadily. So I think it's difficult to distinguish between first waves, second waves, and Azerbaijan is still very much in a risky position, like many other countries in Central Asia, with possibility of increasing cases. You may see, and sometimes people see this as waves, you see a small number of cases beginning and then it gradually and slowly builds, and then there's a point at which things accelerate. We've seen that in many countries. That would not be the classic second wave that other countries now who've had large numbers of cases may be facing in weeks to months' time. So certainly Azerbaijan needs to be very wary and very alert right now in terms of the incidence of cases and ensuring that things don't take off in a very extreme way. With regard to the future of the pandemic and epidemics around the world, many countries now have a sustained falling in the number of cases and the number of deaths. And as we enter into a low transmission period, and Director General has alluded to it in his speech, those countries who are exiting more stringent public health and social measures or so-called lockdowns will do better and may avoid major second waves if they can shut down early transmission early in clusters that are identified, much like Korea has done or is doing with regard to its latest clusters of infection. What we would hope is that countries applying strong public health surveillance with sustained physical distancing and hygiene measures amongst populations, with an alert and an educated population capable of being able to take control of their own risks, but also a strong public health system capable of detecting and tracing and isolating, we may avoid a major second wave. But if disease persists in countries at a low level without the capacity to investigate clusters, identify clusters, then there is always the risk that the disease will take off again, particularly where we have large groups of people together in major cities and refugee camps and very other places where people don't have the possibility of large-scale social or physical distancing. So I think now we're seeing some hope as many countries exit these so-called lockdowns, and this is good. It allows economic life to return. But extreme vigilance is required, and not just vigilance. Many countries, as the DG has said, have made very systematic investments in building up their public health capacities during the lockdowns. Others have not. And we need every country now to put in place